Hello everyone, my name is Alyssa and I am the Teen Librarian for Cranston Public Libraries, and welcome to Teen Book Chats. So today we are going to talk about graphic novels and comics, which is one of my favorite genres. Before we get into some books, if you don't like graphic novels, maybe you're like, I just have never really gotten into them, they're not really my jam. I used to be the same way. One tip that I have for you is I'm a pretty quick reader of print, and I found that I didn't really like graphic novels because I read them too quickly. I would just like speed through them and not really slow down and read the pictures. So if you find that you're just not really into graphic novels, try reading one really, really slowly. Take your time and look at every single panel and see if maybe it's just the way you're reading them is why you're not connecting with them. Because I love graphic novels now, but it took me a little while to get into them. All right, so the first one that I want to share with you today is called Snapdragon. And Snapdragon it's fairly new. I think it came out maybe a month or two ago. Middle grade graphic novel, so perfect for middle schoolers. And Snapdragon is about a girl named Snapdragon, which is the cutest name ever. And she, through a series of events, befriends the local hermit and named Jax, and it's like rumored that like Jax is a witch, and she's like, haha, yeah, okay, Jax is a witch, and then it turns out Jax actually is a witch. And so Snapdragon starts to learn about like ghosts and other worlds and magic through Jax and her relationship with Jax, and she finds out that her and Jax have this secret family connection that Snapdragon did not know about. So the art is really fun, really whimsical and colorful, and I think my favorite thing about Snapdragon is that the book has all different types of women and girls in it, and I think that it does a really good job of showing there's no one correct way to be a woman or a girl. So love this book. The friendships are great. The story is great. And I love ghosts. And I love a ghost story that's not too scary, as we all know. So this is a ghost story that I could, get behind. Also, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of washed out, but she has a little dog who only has 3 legs. So I'm always excited for books that have dogs in them. So that's Snapdragon. The next book I want to book talk is called The Fire Never Goes Out, a memoir in pictures. And this is by Noelle Stevenson. So this is a teen book, and it is a memoir, which means it is the story of her life. And Noelle Stevenson is a graphic novel artist and writer. She wrote, I think she's best known for Nimona and The Lumberjanes. So both very popular. Both are awesome. I particularly love Nimona, also a teen graphic novel. So good. Highly recommend. But The Fire Never Goes Out is Noelle's like personal story about like finding her voice through her artwork, but also finding her sexuality and figuring out her mental health. And so it sort of details like how when she was like in college especially, trying to figure out like how do I make a living through my art, what type of artist do I want to be, what is my point of view, while also grappling with what is sometimes called imposter syndrome, or feeling like even though you're being successful at something, you feel like, oh my gosh, this is all gonna like come crashing down, and people are gonna be like, JK, you're not a good artist, you're an imposter. And so it's very honest and very open. It's kind of a hybrid book, so there's still a lot of sections in it that are prose, so it's like written out. And then she has sections where she tells her story through like the comic format in panels. I love it. It's a beautiful story. It has some romance in it. You kind of see her fall in love with her wife, Molly, which I did not know this until like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. She's married to Molly Ortberg, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, who wrote The Witch Boy, which is also an amazing graphic novel. So my mind was blown where I was like, oh my gosh, they're like this amazing graphic novel power couple. So if you haven't read The Witch Boy, that's also awesome. But I just love that this is a little bit different. I think that graphic novel memoirs, biographies, autobiographies are really interesting because they're telling like a true story. And the artwork in this is great, very pared down and very simple, but tells a very, very emotional and powerful story. So that one's definitely for like high school teens. All right. Another teen graphic novel is They Called Us Enemy. It's a great cover. Also nonfiction. So this is another memoir by George Takei, who, if you don't know who that is an actor, a very famous actor, best known for Star Trek. And this is the story of when he was a very young boy living in both California. Him and his family ended up in a Japanese internment camp during World War II. And so this is his story of what it was like to live that experience, and then also sort of him now reflecting back on that experience. Yes, I just saw in the modern, I've said Molly Ostertag. I said her last name wrong. It's Ostertag. She's the one that wrote The Rich Boy. Yes, graphic novel, power couple. But this is what I get for just talking without my notes in front of me. But They Called Us Enemy is really powerful. If you don't know about what happened with Japanese internment during World War II, this will teach you a ton. It can be very difficult to read at times because it's a very like emotional and traumatic story. It was a very emotional and traumatic time in our history. Literally imprisoning people on American soil in camps. And I think it's just such an important story to be told. And I also think that he's such a well-known person and he's still alive. So it kind of helps contextualize this as like, this is not as far away as we like to think it was. Like he lived through that and he's still living and talking and acting. And he's a huge activist. Also, the art is very well done, very pared down. Kind of reminds me of like the way manga is drawn. So it doesn't read like a manga. So if you don't know what a manga is, it's a Asian style of graphic novel where it's read backwards because it doesn't follow like a Western like reading scheme. So this is not a manga. It's read in sort of an American left to right. But the style of the artwork is so I think spot on. If you really like the like manga style, you'll really like this book. And like I said, super important story. All right, another middle grade book, The Breakaways. And I know I always talk about how I don't like sports books, but then I always talk about all these sports books that I love. This is another one where I'm like, I don't like sports books, but I loved this sports book. It's about a group of girls on a soccer team, and it's kind of one of those books that like nothing really happens. It's very slice of life. It literally is just like following all these different girls as they're sort of just navigating school and friendships and first relationships. I really enjoyed it. If you're kind of one of those people that's like, I need the book to like have a really clear plot and point, probably won't love this one, but I kind of love books that like, it's just characters doing stuff and then the book ends. So I really love Breakaways. I believe the author, I think it's a Rhode Island author. I'll have to double check that, but I think it's a Rhode Island author. And in the author's note, she talks about having led a Girl Scout troop, and I was in Girl Scouts when I was a kid, and I was like, totally like could see like, yeah, these are like the girls I hung out with when I was in Girl Scouts or when I was in like middle school. So I really love that book. The artwork's really fun, and if you just kind of want to like meet some fun characters with the background of soccer, The Breakaways is really fun. All right. Next one is Urban Legends. It's got a fun cover. And Urban Legends is about a boy named Dwayne who moves to Brooklyn. He's super bummed out about moving to Brooklyn. I feel like a lot of kids that move around or have like gone through a really big move and have left friends behind can relate to that. It's really rough to move. So he moves to Brooklyn and he's not happy about it at all. And he's kind of like determined to not be happy about it. But through this series of events, he meets this group of like vigilante monster hunters, and he realizes that like all of these like urban legends about the city are actually like true and supernatural. And so he teams up with this group to try and like save the city from all of these supernatural, like paranormal monsters that are terrorizing people. And I think that this book is great just because I love books that have like a group of friends. It kind of reminds me a little bit like Stranger Things, where like just a group of friends sort of get thrown into this banana situation and have to like save each other and save the town. This is definitely would appeal to middle schoolers. And there's this awesome part in the middle of the book where the author and illustrator do this amazing job of sort of recreating a montage that you would see in a movie. So if you think about a montage in a movie where like there's like the music overlaid and you see them sort of like getting ready for battle, the book does a great job of like showing what a montage would look like in a graphic novel. And part of their like getting ready to like monster hunt is like what was they doing? Oh, they had to get public library cards, which I was like, woo, very important. And they also made t-shirts. It was just like, it's really funny and a little bit silly, but I kind of like funny and silly things. I just thought it was a great book. And I think if you like, it's not quite as like intense and dark as Stranger Things, but if you kind of like that, like, you know, banding together, supernatural, then you'll probably really like Urban Legends. All right, another one. I think I already talked about this the other day, but I really, really like this book, so I want to reiterate just in case you weren't tuning in a couple weeks ago. So this one is Dragon Hoops. This is by the same author as American Born Chinese. He's written a lot of awesome graphic novels. Another sports book that I really loved. And Dragon Hoops is another nonfiction graphic novel. So the author was he was a math teacher at a high school that like basketball and sports were a huge deal. And I have never really been a sports person, and I didn't really go to a high school where sport like people weren't watching our sports teams on TV or following our sports teams. So it was like a look at like a whole other type of life that I had never really been exposed to. And so just watching these young athletes have to like deal with all the pressure and have to like navigate like being a normal teenager, but also like carrying like the pride of their school on their shoulders. So good, so interesting. It has a lot of just really great like interpersonal relationships, like what it's like to be like a healthy competitor. It has a lot to do with like communal history, so the history of the school, some really like not great like historical pieces about the school come to light. And I think he just tells a really great story, and also kind of woven into like the basketball team and his experience at the school as a teacher is also like the history of basketball, which I thought was super fascinating. I just had no idea like how it started, how it became so popular, how the rules changed over time. So that was also just really interesting to me, just being kind of like, a history nerd. All right, so another one that actually have this in person. This is Giant Days. This is an awesome series. Definitely a teen series. And it follows a bunch of friends in England going to college. And it's just like their hijinks at school. It's one of those graphic novels that's in volumes. So this is volume 12. So if you're looking for something to really like sink your teeth into and read for like a while, this is a really great series. Very funny. But like I said, set in the UK. So sometimes they say things that I'm like, I don't know what that means. So I had to like look it up. And of course, it's always like some sort of like British slang that I just had no clue about. But it's so funny. And there's just like really funny like characters and like really funny like kind of inside jokes that like happen in an earlier volume that like come back later. And it's coming to a close because they're gonna graduate from college at some point. And I'm really just like, gonna be really sad when it ends because they're just really funny. They're also like pretty short. If you look, can kind of see how skinny it is. The volumes are quick. And I believe that all of them are on the e-zone, which is pretty awesome. So if you can't get to a public library right now because of COVID-19, they're all in the Ocean State Library's e-zone, and they're awesome. Alrighty, so I think that was all the books that I had to share with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back here next Thursday at 3 p.m. for more teen book chats. Thanks so much. Have a great day.